Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Freeman Chronicle podcast. And this is Miko Santos. It's thanks God it's Friday. So how's everyone? So for today's episode, we're talking about the recent executive order that was passed by U.S. President Biden's relation with the executive order of safe, secure, and trustworthy AI, which is issued on October 30. This is the first action of its kind by the US government. It has a significant implication for future of AI research, development, and deployment. So for today episode, we'll talking to one of the expert in relation with the AI, and this we will discuss about this implication on development of artificial intelligence. Okay, so and thank you so much for continued support to our program. So just don't forget to subscribe and click the bell button for notification. Okay, so we're gonna our guest for today is Associate Professor Niusha Shavyabadi. I hope it's correct pronunciation. She is an international recognized expert in the field of in artificial intelligence with many years of professional experience in both academia and industry. She is the inventor of a computationalized optimization algorithm and has developed AI labs and which is a simple computation with intelligence predictable analysis tool. She has published many research and articles in high-ranking journals, supervised many by HDR candidates. It's the recipient of different awards and credential. Please welcome to the show, Associate Professor from Charles Darwin University, Associate Professor Nusha Shafiabadi. Hello, thank you so much for your time, and I hope you are not too busy. Today is Friday, so how are you today?
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank you,
very much. Thank
Miko,
you,
and thank you
Miko.
for having me.
Thank you so much for that. So, AI development, how to balance innovation and regulation. Last month, President Biden signed executive order on safe, secure, and trustworthy AI. Why?
Yes, actually, that was one of the first initiatives that was implemented in the United States. And there are some other initiatives going on. And like, for example, there are some talks in the UK's 2023 AI Safety Summit. And we have G7 Hiroshima AI process. And there are some other talks in Australia also. We are working on regulations of AI. And, all these things are not things to be afraid of. Basically, AI regulation is a positive um, um, move, and it actually will increase the just one protective layer on the use and applications of AI. If we start to look at the balance of between the innovation and regulation in the AI development, basically we have to look at the executive orders or the regulations, such as the one that President Biden in the White House released on the 30th of October, and see what are the main goals and challenges for that order. For the executive order, because I went through all those pages and studied that, I was very interested in that. Basically, it aims to address the issues related to the safe use of AI, and the companies will be required to share their test results for the softwares that are using AI or they're implementing the AI algorithms and artificial intelligence systems with the US government and the authorities before they can release it to the market. And that is really, as I said before, it's very positive, because I personally, when this AI's trend and everything, because we have had AI for a very, very long time. And since I was an undergraduate student many, many years ago, we were working with these AI systems. And since this trend of AI appeared, one of the things that I personally was worried about was, who is looking after these algorithms and systems? And everybody, and many people, not everybody, many people are using the term AI loosely, which is not right and ethical. And these types of regulations are a requirement to make sure what we are telling the people, who are, not everybody knows what AI is, and everybody has different expertise, which is great. Some people know what AI is, and they can understand those loose, applications and improper applications of AI and using this term. But for the other people who don't know it, it would be great to have some regulatory authority to make sure that what we are giving to the people is the truth and is the right thing to do, and the right way to move forward. In more details, if you want to talk about this directive from the President Biden and the White House, it was it was addressed to the companies for developing the AI models that could potentially be a threat to national security or economy or society or health and safety before they would be able to release their products. They have to release their test results to the government, and there is a team that needs to look at those test results and make sure that the results are proper and the system works properly. There were some other inclusions in that executive order. One of the other things that was mentioned there was about watermarking of the AI made content. So again, one of the other things that I personally was worried about was, when I don't know if you have seen it, when you look at the social media, you can find uh, videos of the Queen or different famous people who aren't real videos. So those types of applications which are deep fakes and fraud, that would create some kind of risky environment, and there might be some fake news created through those kinds of channels. So watermarking the AI made content would be a great initiative, and we can avoid those kinds of applications, hopefully. There is another thing that is mentioned in the executive order, and it addresses the potential bioweapons, because one of the abilities of the AI systems is that through those kinds of computational evolutionary optimization algorithms, we can come up with gene sequencing algorithms, and they can start, coming up with different sequencing of the genes, and that would potentially be a way to create bioweapons. And of course, we would need some regulation to stop people, from doing these kinds of unethical things. And actually, the main challenge is its proper implementations, because even if we police and everything, and we have rules and regulations in every society, still there would be some people who would break the rules, and the proper implementation of these regulatory requirements is one of the other things that we should find proper channels to implement them.
Actually,
And
that's
yeah.
the next question is that what is the main goal of this, and what's going to be the challenges of the order? And because this is in the US, it's is do you think Australia will also gonna be following that similar
uh,
regulation?
Yes, Australia is already thinking. It has already started thinking about regulations and regulatory requirements of AI. Actually, the NSW chief scientist, he was one of the people who initiated the regulations of AI, and we already have the draft of the document that is based on the regulatory requirements that are drafted in Australia. And in academia, many of the people who are in academia, they are working on the ethics. There are some people from with law background, and there are some people from AI background, and they're working together, and they're working on those types of regulations. The implications and the challenges in academia is that it's we have to come up with some mechanisms that we can show the safety of the AI algorithms. So I'm anticipating that we start thinking of, for example, when these AI algorithms started, we started publishing different training methods or different, implementations of those algorithms in different scientific journals. And the same should apply to the safety and the ethics and also the regulation of the AI methods. So in a way, some mechanisms to make sure that we are having proper algorithms, safe algorithms that would not risk the society or create risk for people. Because if AI algorithms aren't implemented properly, as an example, I will give you a simple example. For example, say you are a bank and you want to calculate the credit score for the customers that they are applying for the loans. This is a very typical application of AI. And then if that AI that is making this decision is not properly created and it doesn't really make proper decisions and correct decisions, then there is a problem that it might be biased or it might be racist, and this is really serious. I mean, this is not a joke. It's very serious because it would affect someone's life. The people want to buy a house, and someone who is from a minority racial background with an average salary might be rejected because this AI system is biased or racist. So those types of regulations, what we do, if when you're testing the system, we put two different people as an input to the system. We give those types of inputs to the system. One of them is a person, for example, with an average salary and from a minority racial background. The other person would be in a same situation with an average salary, but not from that minority racial background. And if the AI says, for example, the one from the minority racial background is not, it reduces its credit score in compare with the one who is not from the minority racial background. That's not a proper AI system. It shouldn't be allowed to be used and, to be implemented on any banking environment, because it would really harm the society. And all these things are some implications that we have to study. And these types of regulations have to study the direct and indirect implications and impact of those algorithms on the society. So even nowadays, for example, at universities, when people come and they want to collect data for AI systems. Of course, data is a necessity. It's like the food for the AI systems. When they start collecting the data, before they start it, we look at all these implications to make sure that it doesn't hurt anyone. It's not illegal. It's not collecting information in a way that later on you can identify the owner, and who the person was. And another risk of these AI systems, if they are not used ethically, is that it would affect the people's pattern of behavior and use. And even, for example, say there is a shopping system, there is an online platform for shopping, and then it could use AI in a way that it collects all the information related to the users, and it would change the behavior of the user by just knowing those information about it, and maybe the user did not want to consent to for their information to be shared and to be used by those people. So the consent of the people is very important nowadays. For example, the things like ChatGPT or other AI systems that are available for different applications, when people are using it, they have to be aware that one of the implications of using those systems is that we are the as the users, we are the providers of the data to those systems, and we consent when we are using it. We tick that box that we have consent to uh, share our information to be shared with the owners, and we have to think before doing that, that would it be something that we are happy really to do that, because it would later on impact what we are offered, on the web, on the internet, and in different platforms. So it's really important that all forms of collecting the information for the people have to be ethical, and instead of just serving the greed of some people, would be based on ethical objectives and ethical principles. And all the AI algorithms have to be tested rigorously to make sure that they are not really producing wrong results. Because if you want to rely on something, it has to be proper and, as another example I can give you is about, like, for example, a health application, that some applications can predict cancer, or they can even identify cancer. And if we want to rely on these algorithms, imagine that someone who has cancer goes to these algorithms and are tested through these algorithms, and the algorithm misses it. So whose fault is that? Who is responsible for that? So someone should take responsibility, and that's why these types of regulations are very important.
Thank you so much for that. So we just need regulation to mitigate the risks of AI. Some people said, you if you have an AI generated content, maybe we put watermark on to reduce the risk from deep fake. Is that possible?
Yes, that is a possibility. As I said, it's a very good initiative. But still, it's like, you cannot really control everything. There might be some applications that uh, they they won't really produce that watermark, add the watermark to the content, and but that's a very good initiative. And another thing about the balance of innovation and regulation in the AI development that I have to mention is one of the important bodies is really academia in this matter, because one of the ways that we can really create this balance between innovation and also regulation is looking at future graduates and training them in a way that they learn about these regulatory and ethical requirements of developing those AI algorithms and models, so that they would be, AI engineers who are responsible AI model creators. They know that AI models have to be created ethically and responsibly. So this is one of the responsibilities, I believe, of the academia. It's very important to train the graduates in this way.
Thank you so much for that, Professor. So, will you always saying about ethics on using the AI, and what's gonna be happening if someone, some people doesn't follow the ethics, and I'm very concerned about the privacy, the data. So how can we uh regulate, mitigate that?
Well, one of the ways in order to regulate the privacy of the data is, nowadays when uh, the AI systems that are online, as far as I have used them, when they collect the information, when they collect our data, they know it's me. So when they collect their data, it's mapped to my name. But imagine that the data is collected, but the system doesn't save the name of the person or the identity of the person that the data belongs to. That will be just data that can be used for training. So it wouldn't really jeopardize any AI innovation, but at the same time, it would be a very good usable data that the people, the engineers and the data scientists can use to train those AI systems. So I believe it's very important that we respect the privacy of the people. Of course, nowadays the new generation might not really care about the privacy, but to me personally, it's very important.
I was reading on the executive order of U.S. President Biden. It's very ambitious plan because it will be implemented within next 3 months to 1 year, and it's cover 8 areas. So, which is safety and security standard of AI, privacy protection, equity and civil rights, consumer rights, jobs, innovation and competition, international leadership, and AI governance. Is that a lot of of regulation? It's very ambitious. What do you think about that?
Yes, I agree with you. It's a bit ambitious, but because it's an executive order that comes from the White House and President Biden, it has to be comprehensive. And in order to have great results, one has to, have great ambition and a great plan to get there. And hopefully, the U.S. has a great plan that they're on how they're going to implement it. Because, for example, one of the issues in the executive order is the jobs. And as you know, nowadays there was a protest going on for the actors that they were losing their jobs because of AI. And you see, this is people's lives that we are replacing because AI is cheaper. We cannot really play with people like that. It's not ethical.
Thank you for that. Yeah, so luckily the strike in the actor guilds is already over. They already have their own
Yes.
agreement, or else would so we need to understand the AI risk. So you talking about academia. On previous episode, couple of weeks ago, I was talking to Professor Kat Ellis from University of New South Wales. She is one of the ethics advisory on academia because on using of AI. So like the chat GPT. What do you think will be, do we need a standard regulation on academia? Because a lot of students now, they're using chat GPT or other AI software to help them to their study, which sometimes it's making them lazy.
Yes. Yes, actually, I'm not against using ChatGPT. One of the concerns for ChatGPT for me personally is the data privacy, because it will use what the students or everybody else enters to it as the new data that is trained on. So that is the implication that I see in using it. But one of the concerns about using things like ChatGPT is that we should be aware that one of the risks of AI systems is us as humans losing our analytical thinking ability. It's very important that we as humans have that analytical critical thinking ability. If we lose that, we're nothing. We're not like these kinds of proper humans as we are these days anymore. So if these types of AI systems like ChatGPT make us lazy, that in a way that we cannot really get from point A to point B without using them, I think it's not really good to use them, because if you remember, Many years ago, we didn't use GPS in order to go from places from one place to another place. But nowadays, many people without GPS they would be lost. And if the same happens, for say essay writing or these kinds of skills, if our students or people lose those types of abilities and skills, it's a big threat, because it's not just not being able to write an essay, it's losing the analytical and critical thinking skills. That is the thing that we should be aware that we shouldn't lose. Actually, the level of analytical and critical thinking that we as humans have, the AI systems do not have it. At least at this stage, they don't have it. So look at Einstein. What Einstein did, an AI system cannot do. So, we should be able to maintain our analytical and critical thinking skills. As long as we do that, it's okay to use any AI system. As long as we use them smartly, they don't make us stupid. That's the main important message here.
That's a good advice to our listener and audience, especially the student. So think and be creative. So AI is just like part of your tools to enhance your productivity. So when you're understanding the AI risk, we're talking about the software because software have an AI as well. What do you think happened on the recently Optus issue again? So this is second
Yes.
time. So some people say it might be on software, it might be attack of cyber attack, but Optus doesn't say anything. They only say
Yes.
deep network issue.
Yes, that kind of, because the whole Australia was affected, that kind of failure, actually, I'm not in Optus, so it would, out from the aftermath of what happened, I would imagine it would be either a cyber attack or any type of software issue like a malware or any kind of software threat. So it's because all Australia was affected, it couldn't have been any hardware problem that caused it. So it should have been something related to software. It might have been an attack. It might have been someone, putting malicious software in their systems. So they are the best people to know where this fault came from. But it's definitely something related to their software and routing that happened that made this issue.
How can we connect this to AI, for example? Is there
Yes,
anything about AI that can be, say,
yes,
analyzed about this?
yes. AI is actually software, and these types of failures are software related. And these types of failures show, for the whole day, no, it wasn't a whole day, it was a few hours, that we didn't have any internet, we didn't have any phone for the people who were using Optus. And with our technology and the way of our life, you see, we all were affected. I couldn't check my emails. I couldn't, make any phone call. So this is one of the examples of uh, when we are relying on technology and stuff like AI, which is a software, when things like cyber attacks or illegal usage or any type of these kinds of problems happen, we can see firsthand that our lives are totally directly affected, And this Optus issue was a very good example of a software matter that's really affected our lives. And in the future, definitely with this kind of speed in the emerging technology development, with, quantum computing and AI, definitely our lives would change soon, and the way of our life would change soon, and hopefully we wouldn't be affected like this in the future.
Thank you so much for that, Professor. Just one last question before we wrap up our podcast. How can we promote equity or equality, civil rights, and consumer protection in, say, an AI application?
Well, as I said, these types of regulatory requirements are basically the fundamentals for civil rights, for equity and equality for the AI applications. Because when we test the applications, with that example that I gave about the banks and racism, when we test the applications and check what kind of answer they give us in the cases that we just replicate, say for example a racist example, and then we test the answer of the program to that example. And if the program does not really make a bad decision, that can be a very safe program to use. But if the AI makes an unfair decision, of course, it's not a proper application to use. And that's the important matter that is related to the importance of having these types of regulations in place.
Thank you so much for that. So thank you so much, Professor Niusha Shafi Abady of the Charles Darwin University. And thank you so much for your time and to our show. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Miko. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor. So, hope you have more understanding about what's happening on AI development. So, don't be because when I see AI, when I think of AI, I'm always thinking about when I first watched the Terminator. So it's very scary, but hopefully it will not be like that because of this regulatory. Hopefully, in Australia they're gonna put similar regulatory that like in the US. I think the executive order is a big step towards making AI that is a trustworthy and responsible. The order is only a step. This is only the first step. Thought it doesn't solve the problem of passing comprehensive data privacy law. Without these laws, people are more likely to have a private or sensitive information shared by the AI system. Hopefully, this is the first step, the regulation of AI development. Thank you so much. This is Miko Santos from the Freeman Chronicle podcast. Enjoy the rest of the day and happy Friday.